Hey everybody, Todd Snively here from Ecom Elite, and today we are going to be talking about pesticides, and specifically the brouhaha going on right now with Amazon limiting the sale of pesticide type items and or blocking the sale of products that they think are pesticides or pesticide related, which can be very frustrating. We're going to talk about the different categories of sellers with respect to this particular issue and how they can resolve this issue if it's affecting them. And we'll talk a little bit about the history of this problem and why this even happened in the first place. Just so you know, I've been selling EPA registered pesticides on Amazon since 2010. They're highly regulated. Every single pesticide has an EPA registration number, which means the manufacturer of that product had to go to the government and not only prove what the chemical was in that product, but how to use it and what specific insects it could be used on. The label of this EPA registered product is very, very important to this entire process and part of the reason why people were getting in trouble. For those of you that don't know, about a year or so ago, Amazon was sued by the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, in order to pay $1.2 million in a settlement. I'm actually shocked it wasn't 100 times more than that, but I think they got off lucky with the $1.2 million. They had approximately 4,000 alleged violations of U.S. law. So we're talking like this could be criminal also. And of course, the EPA they're around to prevent harmful exposure to pesticides through illegal sales. So we had a lot going on the Amazon marketplace. We had international sellers bringing in pesticides from places like China and otherwise and selling those on the Amazon marketplace. So here we had products that weren't even EPA registered being sold and shipped through the FBA program. Then, in my mind, almost worse, we had US-based sellers breaking the law with respect to EPA registered pesticides and insecticides by taking products and breaking them out. Like, for example, let's say there's a product like Advion cockroach bait, right? That is sold 4 tubes to a box. That EPA registration number on the box is specifically for the 4 tubes. So when you break that box open, take 2 tubes out or 1 tube out and go to sell that individually, you've broken the law, federal law, EPA laws, all right? And you can be prosecuted, fined highly for this activity, this illegal repackaging. And Amazon sellers were doing it all the time, okay? So the brands saw this and they knew it was illegal. So they started contacting sellers looking for voluntary compliance, and it just wasn't happening. I mean, people were making a lot of money, and they were fine with selling these products illegally. Here's one more perfect example of what would get you into a lot of trouble with the EPA and now Amazon. Notice here, we just did a search for something called Telprid. It kills moles. That's all you need to know about Telprid, other than the fact that it is sold in a box of 20 worm-shaped baits. 20 to a box. So here we have a legitimate listing of 20 count. Right next to it, Telprid moles bait, half a box. 10 worm-shaped baits, half a box. They tell you right there, hey, it's half a box. Does Bell Labs sell Telprid in half a box? No, they do not. Okay? So this person is basically opening the box of 20, pulling out one of the envelopes of 10, and that's what they're selling. That is illegal because this is an EPA registered item. Okay, so if you're selling pesticides, please don't do this because you're ruining it for everybody. And it's the greed that takes over. People are making money doing this, but it's hurting everyone. It results in more restrictions and unnecessary rules from Amazon. So please, if you're doing this, stop doing it. I mean, not only did you have to get a whole new EPA registration number to sell a repackaged product, but you needed to be working within a EPA registered repackaging facility, right? So very, very expensive, very, very difficult. Nobody was doing it. They were just breaking the law. There were certain chemicals that were restricted by certain states. New York is very picky. California, of course, Connecticut, very picky about what chemicals they're going to let into their state. But if you send chemicals, registered EPA chemicals, to an FBA warehouse back in the day, they'd ship it to any state. They didn't care. Ship it to New York. Hey, it's illegal in New York. We don't care. Boom, off it would go. I never understood that. Why couldn't Amazon just look at these products and say, well, this is illegal in these 3 states. Let's not let people in those states buy that. But nope, they never did that. So that kind of bothered the EPA also. So as a part of this settlement, not only did they have to pay the $1.2 million, drop in the bucket, but they told the EPA they would come up with a special training program that any seller that wanted to sell pesticides would have to take and pass a bunch of tests to be able to list pesticides on Amazon. Which, when I heard about this, I was like, well, okay, that's okay for the Amazon sellers, but oh my gosh, I felt terrible for the commercial pest applicators that have to go through, I mean, so much studying and training to pass their state level exam to allow them to sell these chemicals, these EPA chemicals to their customers. Absolutely, just another example of the inequality of things in this country or the world. But I digress. So now we have a situation where Amazon has paid the fine, has implemented this training program with its test. They removed all of the illegal products that were like brought in from other countries. And they did an incredibly good job of removing the products that were being illegally repackaged. Now, even this day, I can go on Amazon and find illegally repackaged EPA registered chemicals. I can do a search for Gentrol, and I'll show you right now where it's sold in 1 ounce bottles, but the original packaging is a box of 10. So the only legal way to buy that product is in a box of 10. And you go down here to this other listing, and here's a guy selling 1 ounce, one single bottle of Gentrol. And if you zoom in on the bottle, what does it say? Not meant for individual resale. Okay? So it's idiots like that you can thank for all of the insane regulations and overreaching rules. If we all followed the rules and did it correctly, there would be no reason for additional crackdowns. I call these rules, rules that were written in blood. If nobody had ever been murdered, we wouldn't need a law against murder. If people weren't selling EPA registered chemicals illegally on Amazon, we wouldn't need Amazon to step in to protect us, right? Or even the EPA for that matter. Okay, off of that soapbox, so let's talk about solutions. Okay, well, there's 4 primary groups that you probably are going to fall into. Let's talk about the biggest group first. You are U.S.-based selling pesticides. All right. So you may have found that some of your listings went inactive. If you were definitely selling pesticides, you had listings that went inactive because Amazon wants you to go through the educational training and take the test. So that's what you need to do. Take the test. It's modularized. It's very small chunks of learning. And guess what? They're going to test you on what they're teaching you. Okay. So listen up to the training, and because when the questions come up, they will have just covered that subject matter. It's not a difficult test to pass, but it does take like 45 minutes or so. All right. Pass the test. Once you've done that, if you're U.S. based, all of your pesticide listings will become active very soon after you've taken the test. Okay. So the next classification of people will be people outside of the U.S. that are selling pesticide products. Got bad news for you, buddy. That's actually has always been illegal. okay? They do not allow non-US based entities to sell EPA registered items. Just try to send an EPA registered item out of this country to another country, okay? It's very, very difficult. It probably won't get there if customs, finds out what's going on. So they're not going to allow a non-US based entity to sell EPA registered products, period, end of story. That's just done and over. So if you're stuck with inventory, liquidate it to another seller that can sell these items, or work out a deal, get into a partnership with another seller and say, look, I have a supply for these EPA registered products and I'll supply you, and let's split the profits. The third group is going to be US based sellers that are selling items that are not pesticides, but Amazon thinks they are pesticides. Okay. So you could be selling, feminine hygiene products. You could be selling a rug. It doesn't matter what the product is. Amazon's bots have said, oh, that's pesticide or pesticide related, generally due to a keyword in your title description or back-end search terms, okay? If the bot sees that keyword, remember, they just paid a fine, right? They were just told this is criminal activity. They're not going to err on the side of, liberal. They're going to be, very, very much all encroaching. They're going to want to make sure they get every possible instance, and then they'll hand review and fix the mistakes. So obviously, you're upset because your non-pesticide item has been deactivated. If you're in the U.S., as much as you might not want to do it, take the test. But God, I'm not selling pesticide-related items. Don't care, doesn't matter. Take the test. It will solve your problem. Well, I'll just... No. Take the test, all right? So you take the test, and all of your non-pesticide items that were flagged as pesticide will become active again. Problem solved. Okay, now we get down to the fourth bucket of people, international people that have listings, products that were deactivated because Amazon thinks they're pesticides and they're not. You can't take the test, right? So that option that I just gave to the US-based non-pesticide sellers caught up in this mess doesn't apply to you because you can't take the test. Your one and only option is Seller Central support, right? You need to go into the help area and you need to file a ticket for other FBA issue. And basically just say to them, give them the ASIN and title and whatnot, and say, hey, this has been flagged as a pesticide item, and it's not a pesticide item. I need the listing to be made active again. Now, the bad thing about this is they may even tell you, oh, it's this word or that word or this sentence or this claim or whatever, and you still can't go in and fix it because they've blocked you from that listing, right? So you may have to deal with the 7 levels of stupidity within Amazon's customer support to be able to get to somebody that actually can fix that for you. Pull that word out, take the sentence out, right? The other way to do this is with flat file uploads. All right. If you're really, really good with flat files, you should be able to fix the problem yourself. Okay. If not, there's a company called LeapFeed, LeapFeed, all one word. Do a Google search for LeapFeed. They work with flat files, all kinds of those data type things, and they're really, really good. And you just tell them, look, these listings are inactive. I need them to become active. They're inactive because of this word or this sentence, or Amazon thinks it's a pesticide. And LeapFeed will make the flat file updates for you for very small amount of money. Okay, so I hope this helped, gave you a little flavor of the history of the problem, why Amazon came out with this solution, why the solution's a little overreaching, and the 4 solutions. Or why the problem's a little overreaching, their solution to the problem, and then the 4 categories that you should find yourself in and be able to implement the solution given for each category. All right, thank you so much for listening. If you liked the information, thought it was useful even a little bit, please give the video a thumbs up. If you want to be notified of future information tutorials like this, and we do an awful lot of workshops on how to become a better seller, become a professional Amazon seller, also a better seller. subscribe to the channel. And we hope you'll enjoy the content that we've already put out and that we're planning on putting out in the near future. Thanks so much. Take care.